What I love is learning alongside them and honestly learning how much I never learned. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't believe that I have as much academics under my belt and literally knew nothing.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the 502nd episode of the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast. We are celebrating episode 500 this week, and we are so excited that you are part of this with us. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get back into our conversation, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, go to ctcmath.com, try them out for free, ctcmath.com. We talked in the first two episodes about our sponsors, and we talked about those who keep us going with this ministry and with the podcast. And it's not just the sponsors, but it's those who donate to the podcast as well and to the ministry of Schoolhouse Rocked. Because it's not just the podcast, it's the movie, it's our social media platform. It's so many things that we're doing to reach the homeschooling community and to bring encouragement to you. And so in addition to our sponsors, so many of you have been so generous with donating to this ministry. And I want to say thank you to you as well, because we would not be able to do this without you. You guys have been so generous, and we are so grateful that you have just linked arms with us in that way and just been so generous to be part of this, because you really are making a kingdom difference in the lives of other people when you donate. And so we're doing everything in fives this week. And so what I would like to ask you to do, and this is, I don't think I've ever asked this before, but we are always in need of support. I mentioned that this is our family ministry. It's our family business. It's what we do. Would you consider doing a $5 donation, either a one-time donation or a monthly donation, just $5? If we can get, it's so funny. I feel like one of those, not a telemarketer, but what do they do? A telethon. Oh. Right? Do you remember those telethons?
Yeah.
Like if we can get 100 people to donate $5, that'd be $500. But seriously, you guys, if you would just donate $5, it would be such a blessing, because that does add up very quickly. And would you consider doing that? We will put a link in the show notes to donate, but you can also go to our website, schoolhouserocked.com/support, and that will take you straight to our donation page, and you can give a donation in any amount. But we would really appreciate that because it is what keeps us going. And we love being a blessing to you, and we appreciate those of you who have been such a blessing to us through your generosity. So thank you. Thank you for that. So today, we've talked about our 5 favorite episodes, or 8, 5 with 3 bonuses. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about our 5 favorite things about the podcast. And I want to talk today about our 5 favorite things about homeschooling. And I only have 5, Abby. I don't have 8.
You're not going to cheat today?
I'm not going to cheat today.
Okay, good job. Or show me up 3.
I don't know.
Well, we'll just let it roll. But we have 5.
Yeah.
I
What's your
almost
first?
put the same one for all 5. Because it's absolutely, then I realized, man, there's so many more important things. But the first thing that comes to my head, 100%, is my favorite thing about homeschooling is I love being with my kids. The time that I get with my kids. And as they get older, the more I realize how quickly that's coming to an end.
Yeah.
I mean, not an end, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But how fast they grow up and how they're going to launch soon. And it's just, I'm going to be able to, this wasn't going to happen, but I just read something, because we have time. One of my sweet friends, she was a homeschool mom, is a homeschool mom, had 2 sons. And this is tragic. Just this last summer, her husband and her 1 son were killed in an airplane accident. And so she's left with her 1 son. And she just posted today, she said, I deal with the mourning, but one thing I know that I'm not dealing with is regret. I will never regret not spending and appreciating every single moment that I had with them. And it really struck me, because I'm like, how hard would it be to look back and be like, man, I sent them out of the home or away from me for so many hours a day, or somebody else raised them, and just to have that. But it was so sweet. And she she said, because my husband and I chose to homeschool, I got every moment I could have before the Lord took him home. So I wasn't planning on, I didn't even know that. I just literally read that before we got on here, but it just solidifies that, just the time that I get with my kids, and that I won't regret not having that time with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good. That is the second one that I put. My first one, because I'm so much more spiritual than you, Abby, is I'm just kidding. Is just the ability and privilege I have to be able to point my girls to Jesus every day in every situation.
That was my number 2. I mean, it wasn't these aren't in any order.
We just swapped them.
Yeah.
These
aren't.
Oh, now you're like, well, it wasn't in any order.
I'm just as spiritual. They're not in any order. But yeah, we both had the same time with our girls. I bet they're all going to be the same. And being able to point them to the Lord in truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we always have opportunities all the time. Yep. And I realize so often how much I would miss out on those opportunities if they were away from me at school all day long. You would just not have them.
We got to point them to truth in not just, once in a while or Sunday mornings or evenings. It's in math and language, in everything we do. We got to point them to truth. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So my first 2 are pointing my girls to Jesus every day. And the second one is being able to just spend time with them.
That's exactly mine.
Love spending time with my girls and the relationship that we have with one another. I've talked about this before, but my oldest is 16. She's going to be 17 next month, which just blows my mind. I cannot believe I'm going to have a 17-year-old. She's only a year away from being an adult, Abby.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous. I mean, she was just born yesterday. How is that even possible?
I don't know.
And I just am so grateful for the relationship that I have with her.
Yep.
And I am 100% convinced it is because she's been home with me and we have had time to build that relationship with each other. And not that we would have a bad relationship if she went to school, but it's a different kind of relationship. Yep. And with my youngest daughter too, I mean, I love spending time with her. She's so fun. And I love being able to just be part of her silliness. She's my both my girls are kind of silly. But my younger daughter, she's a ball of fire and fun. And so I love being able to just be with both of them. And the time is going so quickly. My youngest is already 12 and I'm like, she's before I know it, she's going to be 17 too. Wow. And so I'm so thankful for the time I get to have with them and the relationship that I get to build with them because of the time that I have with them. So totally. What's your next one?
Well, it kind of piggybacks. I mean, they're all so similar. One is, this other one is getting to know them, not just spending time with them, but like really getting to know who they are as a person. Because, I think if I sent them out every day, I wouldn't get to know how they handle situations or see how they interact with people or see all the different sides of their personalities, So I love to homeschool because I love just to get to know, I was under the assumption when we had kids that like my kids are who I make them, right? My kids are however we raise them. If we raise them this way, this is how they'll be. If we raise them. And it's like, well, that's not true. They're exactly who God made them. And they're so different and unique. Yeah. And I love just to get to know their personalities, their talents, their gifts, and be kind of a student of my children.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you say it that way too. Because we do need to be students of our kids and learn who they are, what makes them, what makes them happy, what makes them excited, what makes them grow, what makes them frustrated, all what makes them learn well, how do they learn and how are they bent? What things do they want to learn?
Right.
And, so yeah, it's so much fun. Okay. My next one is regaining my own education. I love that about homeschooling.
I put that on there.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this in the movie. I've talked about it on the podcast so many times. I hated school growing up and I mean, hated the academics, the academic part of school.
Yeah.
Literally hated every moment of it, probably from junior high on because I struggled so much in school. And so at some point, probably around 7th or 8th grade, I just gave up and I was like, yeah, I'm done. And so I just kept a GPA that was just barely high enough to
graduate,
play sports and graduate.
Right.
And I mean, I think it was like a 2.0 was what I had to keep, or 2.5, something like that. It was ridiculously low. But I just kind of gave up on academics because it was hard and I didn't have anybody who, I had good teachers and they loved me and I went to a Christian school for most of my childhood and I really did have excellent, mentors in my life, but they had tons of students. They couldn't take the time to individualize my education to me.
Totally.
And so I just gave up and I loved the social aspect of school, but I hated everything else about it. And I dreaded going to school. And so I came out of school not knowing much about anything. And it has been such an exciting thing for me to
I like how you said that, to regain
your
education. That is such a cool way of like that God, I don't know, gave you that back.
Yeah, it really is a gift from the Lord. And so it's fun. So I'm learning with my girls. It's not like I, have all of this amazing knowledge and go before them and let me teach you all the things that I know. I'm like,
Right.
oh, let's figure this out together, except math. I don't teach them math, as we all know. I leave that to the experts. But yeah, I'm thankful for that.
What we do at IEW is break through the noise of the grammar and the writing prompts, and we say, this is what you do, step by step. And I've witnessed it over and over again, both watching Andrew teach and hearing from parents, this is the best writing program. We've made it so easy and made it really affordable. So any mom can teach writing to their children using our course, and we guarantee it.
To try 3 weeks of free lessons, visit IEW.com.
What's your next one?
That was my number 4. I didn't say it quite. Well, you said regaining your education, but I said learning alongside my kids, because I actually loved school academically so much that I went on to college and went on to get some, a little bit of grad school and then on to be a teacher. And I loved it. But what I love is learning alongside them, and honestly, learning how much I never learned. I mean, I can't believe that I have as much academics under my belt and literally knew nothing. That's what has blown my mind I'm learning real American history now. I'm learning actual science, I'm loving learning, because when I went through school, there was biblical truth and there was the lies that school taught you. That's what I knew. But to be able to now learn science with the Bible together has been like that. There's scientific evidence for. I have loved learning alongside my kids. And I also know some of it is they're not going to retain American history the way I am right now, because when you're older, you learn to be more interested. But it has been so fun to learn alongside my kids.
Yeah, this year, Brooklyn is taking a creation science class at a local co-op. And I'm basically I help her with her homework. I mean, she can do it by herself, but we read the books together. And they're so good. And I am learning so much about just debunking evolution.
Totally. I mean, basically, we're learning how what we learned is so untrue. I mean, that's really what's opened my eyes, is everything I learned, how much false I learned. But it's been so much fun to learn the truth. I've just loved it. I feel smarter.
Right.
And that's the thing, is when all these homeschool moms are like, I'm not smart enough to homeschool, or I don't know enough. I'm like, that's another, we have to debunk that, because you will become smarter through homeschooling as will your children.
Yep. Trust me, I'm not either. Okay. My next one, I'll do my last 2 together.
Okay.
My next 2 are the freedom to sleep.
Oh,
and that might sound silly, but here's the thing. We are a family who's super late. Like we rarely get in bed before 11. And it's just the way our family functions. And so we get to sleep in, and I love that. I oftentimes, I see people post things on Facebook and they're like, we have to start school at 8:00 in the morning or 7:30. And I'm like, we would die. I know that works for some people. And I know that you, Abby, you're much more scheduled than we are. But we're often doing school in the evening, and honestly, none of us mind it. Yeah. It's just, it works for us.
You. Yeah.
And we kind of drag out school, and not in a bad way, but we kind of drag it out throughout the day, because we start late, we have breakfast together, usually, as a family, or, I don't know, kind of sporadically, it depends on the day. And we get stuff done in the morning. We'll do chores. We'll do some laundry. We just kind of take our time in the morning after we wake up late. And then we start school when we start school. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 12. And then we take breaks. We try to eat lunch together as a family. We play games, which is part of school. We run errands, we do our thing, and then come back. And so it is very common in our family to be writing a paper at 7:00 at night or 8:00 at night.
I love that.
And it's just, it works for us, and we love it. And it's one of the beauties of homeschooling, is that we get to sleep when we're tired.
Right.
And we're not lazy, but we just sleep. We get the sleep that we need in order to be able to function and learn throughout the day.
Right.
And so I love that. And then my other thing is freedom to travel. Our family, of course, we have traveled a lot, and I love the freedom that we have to be able to just get up and go whenever it works best for us. And so those are my top 5 favorite things about homeschooling.
Okay. I'll buckle my I'll do. Okay, so I'm going to do a bonus. So there you go. I know you did 3 bonuses. Okay, so my last actual one was, it kind of tags along to yours, is to be able to do our life our way, that we're not on anybody else's schedule. Like again, you listen to this long enough, we spend a lot of time outdoors. We do a lot of backpacking, hunting, hiking. Like we do a lot of that. So I can do our schedule our way. We kind of schedule our homeschool based on, I mean, this is crazy, but based on like hunting seasons, the cycles of animals, the moon, like, I mean, not in a weird way, but the moon meaning when are the animals out? We are in the outdoors a lot. So whatever works when we get school, it's just been awesome. We do it our way and according to seasons. We take the fall off and we can homeschool some in the summer, all through the winter. I just love that we do what works for our family. The other thing that we have done, because the family is the most important thing, is when dad's home, we don't school. So if he comes home at 1, we can just put it away because he's like, hey, let's go do something. Where I always think if my kids were in public school, I couldn't just pull them out willy-nilly.
Right.
And I've loved that with homeschool, is that we can just put it away to do what the family does, and we can get it out at 7:00 at night, like you said, if we need to, and yet academically, my kids are they're ahead of where they need to be. So it works. Okay. My bonus is because of this morning. We woke up and my littlest was not feeling well at all. And I just praised the Lord as I sat on the couch. I literally just sat on the couch and I held her and I snuggled her and I held her. And I just praised God that I wasn't making phone calls to get her out of school and calling my job to say I couldn't come in and then having to stress about the makeup work that she'd have to make up. I literally was just there in the way that she needed me to be there. And I love with homeschool that, again, I'm the boss. God's the boss and I'm the boss. I'm not answering to other people as far as what's best for my kids. So this morning, guess what we did? We snuggled, and it was the most valuable time, and I wasn't stressed about it. And so I love that about homeschool.
I love it. So much fun. Okay. This has been really fun this week, just to reflect on just some of our favorite things about homeschooling, about the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast, about the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry, and the ways that God is working in and through these. And I am so very grateful for our guests and for our listeners and for all of the people who have had a hand in this ministry. And, as I mentioned at the beginning, thank you for those who have donated and who continue to do that. Again, would you consider just being part of the ministry through donation? And if you guys have listened and been watching some things pop up on social media, maybe you're on Facebook and you've seen some of our posts or you've listened to some things, that we have a new movie in the works. We are in the early stages of pre-production on a new film. We can't tell you too much about it yet, but we will start to tell you more about it as things continue to unfold. And we've had some really exciting phone calls and communication going back and forth with some people who are likely going to be part of it. And I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. It's going to be so very exciting. It will be, I can tell you this, it will be somewhat related to Schoolhouse Rocked, the Homeschool Revolution, to that movie, kind of a maybe prequel, if you will, or sequel. I don't know what you would want to consider it, but it will be a movie that will be greatly impactful to our culture. And so we really have been praying about it as a family. We have several people praying with us, and we want to ask you to pray with us about that as well. Just pray that if the Lord wants it to happen, he will continue to open the doors, and it looks like he's doing that. And if he does not want this movie to happen, that he would just close the doors and make it clear to us that this is not the road he wants us to take. And so we just keep taking one step forward as he continues to open doors and puts things into place. And so please pray for our family and for all the others who will be involved in this, that the Lord would just be glorified in and through this new film as we start working on production for this. And when I say we, I just want to clarify, really, this one's going to be Garrett. The girls and I are not going to be too much part of this one, except that we will cheer him on from the sidelines. We will pray and we will be there to support him. But I am back into full-time ministry of motherhood. Yay. And recording for the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. And
that's so it. That's your that's your gig, full-time mom and a once a week podcast.
That's what I'm doing. And so I'm so excited that the Lord's calling Garrett to do another movie and really putting the people in place who kind of did what I did with the first movie, but I'm not having to do that this time. And I'm thankful that the Lord is just showing his faithfulness that way. So, pray about that.
Before you go on, I got to ask something because I know people are going to want to know on the 500th. And maybe you can't tell us, but are there any sneak peeks of like what's coming on the next 500? I know that you mentioned this week that you're going to do a family series.
Yes.
What else?
Well, that's really what we're jumping off with in the new year is the family series, and that will go on for probably a couple of months.
Okay.
And let us know. We have a few other guests lined up. We're already starting to record for the new year. But if you guys have ideas and you have guests that you want to hear from, let us know. You can always send us an email at podcast@schoolhouserocked.com and let us know who you want to hear from. If
topics
you've heard
even.
Or topics. Yep.
Yeah.
What topics you want to hear, what guests you want to hear from. How can we serve you? We are here to serve you and to encourage you. So let us know how we can do that.
And we also want to do some Q&As. I do know that. So we need your questions. So same email address or even social media, throw over questions so we can do some Q&As in the next 500.
Yeah. Wow. We've given a lot of homework this week. Okay. So let's recap.
Yeah.
Let's review our homework assignments. The first thing is leave a review for the podcast.
Yes.
After you do that, fill out the form. Leave a review. Then you're going to share your favorite episode with 5 friends.
Yes.
After you do that, fill out the form.
And where do we find the form?
The form is going to be in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So you have to go to the show notes, just click on the form, fill it out. It will be super easy.
So you can do that all right
choose.
now. Really quickly write a review.
Yeah.
Really quickly click in the show notes, fill out an easy form.
Right.
Share an
easy.
episode.
Yeah.
And you got bonus
sharing
entry.
an episode is a bonus.
Yes.
That's your bonus entry.
We like bonuses.
Into winning a DVD.
Yes. We're all about the bonuses.
We're all about bonuses.
And then the last thing we said is let us know if you have any questions or topics you want us to cover or guests or what do you want for the next 500?
Yeah. What do you want? How can we serve you? How can we encourage you in this new year that we've got coming up? And then please consider donating to the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry. You can go to schoolhouserocked.com/support, or you can click on the link in the show notes that says donate, and you can donate that way. So thank you guys so much for being part of this. We'll be back next week with another fantastic guest. Aby Rinella, thank you for being with me this week.
Thanks
I
for
love doing this
having
with
me.
you. And we will see you guys back here next week. Have a great day. Bye.
We know that we are called to put on the armor of God. So we are teaching our children to be salt and light in the world, but we're not putting our children out onto the front lines of the battle until they're ready.
We need to look at our children and realize they can't be salt till they've got salt. And if the salt's contaminated, then it's no good for anything. That's what the scripture says. And they have to remember that because of our sin nature, it's more likely the culture will influence our children rather than the children the culture. So how can we send them out into the world until we have prepared them? You don't send a knight out to fight until he's prepared with all the armor that he needs.
So the front lines really in the culture right now, what is up for grabs in the culture? It's truth. Truth is what's in the crosshairs right now. And until our children are steeped in truth, until they know truth, until they can defend truth, we would never put a defenseless child out on the front lines. And education is a frontline battle. It is not a sideline battle. It's not something that's happening in the periphery of our lives. This is happening in the culture in real time. This is the front line of the culture. This is where the battle for truth is being fought, and it is where the battle for truth is being lost. And so we do not want our children out on the front lines. We are training our children to go out onto the front lines. And so to me, when we talk about salt and light, I say, let's put the people out on the front lines who are trained and ready for battle.